Welcome back to WaterparkRanger's Let's Play Pikmin 3. I have a confession to make. This is perhaps the only day of the LP that isn't going to be blind. The reason for it is pretty complicated. It started off like this. I was trying to search out and find where the secret memos were, that way I could finish this distant tundra place in one more day, and not have a bunch of episodes of us wandering around the entire level looking for the secret memos. Here's the good news. I found out where they were without too much difficulty. I even found out how to get to that one memo that was really giving us trouble before. Here's the bad news. I was trying to record commentary for that day, and it went successfully to a certain point. And then I ran into a big problem. And that problem was, I fought the Shaggy Long Legs, and I defeated it. I actually lost a lot of Pikmin doing so. I realized a strategy that would have worked better for it, so that I could have less losses. And there was a lot of angst in that episode over me being a horrible leader. Kind of sad that we're never going to really get the full effect of just how dismal and morbid that episode was. But the thing is, when I finished recording it, and I went to the audio, I realized actually that my mic for some reason picked up 0% of what I'd recorded, so it was all 100% lost. Which is really quite tragic, honestly. And so, the good thing about this game is that it has a reset days feature, so even though it's saved after I finish the day, I could go right back to day 33. And that leaves us to where we are now, heading to find the secret memos and finish the distant tundra properly this time, with the recording properly recorded. Now this is where the first secret memo is, and I actually found out where this was by looking at the recording of my previous episode, episode 32, when we were in this cave with the bull bear. I noticed that little yellow glint from inside this odd metallic structure. We just hadn't had the time to go in and investigate it fully, but of course now we have all the time in the world. Also, at the time we hadn't really paid attention to this, and it's nothing but an easy escape from this cave if you really need it. I don't see why you should. Maybe if you really need to get away from that bull bear fast, and for some reason nothing else has been working for you. That's the only reason I could think that you'd ever need to use that geyser. Now, as for the other secret memo, we might as well just grab it now while it's fresh in my mind. It is that one that's been taunting us constantly from, you know, that place near the landing site. Well, I really racked my brain finding out how to get it. It isn't that ice slide, that doesn't help. And I thought constantly about how you're just supposed to get to the general ledge that it's on, because it seems too high for a pilot to reach, in any circumstance, really. Well, it's not. There is a way to get there. But, of course, it was a little bit weird finding it. I really had to try every possibility, and that's why I spent a couple days off-screen just figuring it out. It only took one full day. But I also spent a couple other days looking around levels I'd been in before to find out places that might contain secret memos, and I actually came to conclusions on those as well. First things first, I'm going to dismiss the flying Pikmin. They're not going to help, but I'm going to need them for something later. We want to get onto this long ledge that the secret memo is connected to. And I searched all around for a place that would help us get there. And I finally found it. You have to think a little bit outside the box on this one. It's interesting that Nintendo put it in quite like this. It makes me wonder what else is hidden in this game. You see these random rocks here? They're the only thing close enough to throw a pilot up on top of. And if I can get both of them up... Okay, Charlie's probably going to fall. Yeah, it takes a couple tries to get this successfully normally. You have to get both of them up there so that you have both pilots on one of those high rocks. Looks weird, trust me, it'll make sense. There's the other. Now we'll have... Oh god, yeah, it's gonna take a couple tries. I'll wait until I can successfully get one up. Alright, now I'm gonna whistle for Brittany and throw her across. It worked. Thank God. Now we can just walk by the snowman and retrieve the data file. That's how that's done. Maybe there are other ways of doing it, but this is the way I found. It worked for me. Okay. Now what we're going to do is take the 10 winged Pikmin, and we're going to get blues for the rest of them. Now what I tried to do yesterday, I mean on the day that I didn't actually end up getting recorded in the LP, shocker, was fighting the Shaggy Long Legs with 100 pink Pikmin. Now, I tried this, and they did absolutely no damage to it. They just couldn't hurt it. And it didn't kill any of them. I was just like thinking to myself, okay, well, pink Pikmin don't work, so obviously the only thing we can resort to is blues. And, I mean, rock Pikmin would be ideal, but the problem is there's too much water for me to really rest easy doing that. I just couldn't do that. I couldn't use rock Pikmin with a good conscience. So we're just going to use blue Pikmin for the fight. And to be on the safe side, I'm going to minimize the amount of casualties I had by following a very safe strategy that I like to call not being a fucking idiot. First off, we've got eggs across that way. They're kind of guarded by the Shaggy Long Legs. What I really want to do is sneak past this Shaggy Long Legs, that way the Pikmin can be flowered up. After that, I'll start considering how best to take it down. I already have a pretty good idea of how to go about it, though. One of the nice things about eggs in this game is that there's no Mittites, unlike in Pikmin 2. So you don't have to worry about Mittites coming out and surprising your Pikmin. Not that Mittites actually, were dangerous, but they did get in the way. Oh, 2 Philosopher's Stones? Oh wait, I just didn't end up drinking it. Okay. Now, I'm going to just separate and get some fast-moving blue Pikmin aside from the main group, and fight it in a slightly smaller, more concentrated squadron. I think that will help minimize the casualties. Also, I'm always going to throw at the first leg that goes down when it steps. That, I believe, is the most efficient way to fight it. And although it's going to take a while, we're not going to lose as many Pikmin, so it'll be better off this way. Just remember to throw on a leg after it goes down. That is just the best time to throw. Okay. Not bad so far. Okay, it actually stepped on one. Now I'm going to have to call them away, because they're getting a little bit too close to the Shaggy Long Legs for comfort. Alright, looks like we're going to end up fighting it with a bigger squad now. You got that? Oh. Oh. Sometimes it actually seems to step twice with the same foot. That is bizarre indeed. Okay. See, they're going for the hair, but, like, it kind of doesn't... It just defends against attacks like that. The hair just blocks it completely. Okay. Gradually, they'll be able to wear it down, and then the hair will fall off, and then we'll be able to kill it. Okay. They're gonna break it down. I'm counting on them to get to that core and do what must be done. It still is a pretty nasty battle. I mean, this is the best strategy I've found for fighting it, but as you can see, I still have a long way to go before I can fight it, like, efficiently or well. That seems to be working pretty well, though. It's just that hair, it just repels all attacks. So I reckon it means they need to fight the joints or something. And I mean, it's kind of cool how with each step, like, it realistically knocks some Pikmin off, but I wouldn't lie. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't irritating, at least a little bit. I mean, that's probably intention, but God, does it make this guy more trouble than he's worth. It really is obnoxious that a mini-boss level enemy is, like, so much more deadly than a normal boss. I think it's just fair to call him a different kind of boss. Mini-boss usually implies weaker. This guy is not weaker. He's like the Dark Link to Morpha, if we're gonna make that comparison. FYI, Dark Link's a lot harder than Morpha. And this guy's way harder than the Behemoth Phosbat ever was. Not nearly as cool. That's also part of the reason I don't like it. He's harder, but he's not as cool. Not nearly as cool. The Behemoth Phosbat is a cool enemy, and it just... not that hard. The sad thing is we're probably still going to lose a ton of Pikmin today. I thought that if I recorded this again, I'd minimize my casualties somewhat, but that was a pipe dream. This guy's just as deadly as ever. Sounds like they're doing something to his hair, or that's what I hope at least. Okay, finally that hair is gone. That is so troublesome. He just shakes them all off. I hate this guy. Okay. Very gradually they're doing damage. Yep, and off they go. I've just thrown them all on and they just fall right off. Okay. That is especially annoying. I would say you are beginning to annoy me, but he's done far more than just begin to annoy me. He's not just annoying, he's difficult. Okay, finally dead. Whew. I doubt we're ever going to have to fight one of these again. They might end up just being the single most lethal boss we end up fighting, because I'm not really sure how dangerous the final boss will be. So far, all the major area bosses haven't been that tough. Granted, that's probably because I've been fighting them well, but still. And wow, these Pikmin are just like knocked out. They were zonked. Okay, I guess I'll take the fruit back and we'll try and heal the blue Pikmin as best we can. Good thing I had a whole day to fight this thing. That's what it took. I would have loved for us to be able to fight him with rock Pikmin, but you know we didn't have that choice. Alright, the rest of the day will just be spent trying to find ways to get more blues. The only ways that I can think of are to track down an armored cannon larva, really, because these pellets, they're not enough sustenance. They're not, like, effective sustenance. I mean, there's something, so I'll let some of the Pikmin get them. But we want more than that. Of course, it's a good thing that I've set some captains back, that way Alf can save the pink Pikmin when the need arises. In the meantime, we'll try and take down at least one armored cannon larva for the blues. Come on, guys. Also, I'm very certain that the armored cannon larva can't kill them, so this will be a battle from which we can only really benefit. That's the way I see it. Alright, get him. Meanwhile, we'll have Alf save the pink Pikmin. Right. There you go. Okay, they've already got that cannon larva defeated. That's a step in the right direction for the blues. There goes one. Alright, I'll just work on leading the pinks back. Whew. It was a brutal day for the Pikmin, honestly. I'm going to take out more blues, that way we don't have more seeds put in the ground. Because if more seeds put in the ground, then we'll have to pick them later, and I kind of never want to come back to the distant tundra. Because we got all the fruit in it, most likely. I'm pretty sure we have all the fruit now. Yep, right on time. No strays, either. So the blues haven't, like, really recovered from their loss, per se, but it could be a lot worse. Also, it appears that as long as Pikmin are in one of your parties, they aren't counted as left behind. I'm pretty sure that in Pikmin 2, with your different parties, if you were playing as Olimar and Louis had some Pikmin under his command, and Louis was out somewhere in the field, come sunset, the Pikmin under Louis' command might just die. I think that might be how that worked. If that's how it worked, I'm really glad they fixed it. Alright. That does it for the distant tundra, most likely. Nasty place, honestly. It's cold and unforgiving. I like the Behemoth Phosphat boss, but otherwise I can't say I'm really a fan of this area. One of the things I'll give it credit for is definitely being bigger than it appeared. You go back to the whole area where Charlie landed. That was neat. That Shaggy Long Legs is just such a cruel, I guess, mini-boss or whatever. It's also a little bit weird, there's two versions, like, colorations of it, but they're not counted as different species. Like, normally in Pikmin, you have... In Pikmin 2, you have the Bulborb, the Hairy Bulborb, Orange Bulborb. I mean, there's not many differences between them, but they still bothered to give them different names and descriptions. They didn't do that in this one's case. Oh, also a little trivia fact is that during the world map screen, you can press a certain button, I forget what button, on the Wiimote or the gamepad, and you can actually listen to conversations between the three pilots, which is pretty neat. And in one of those conversations, I learned that the SS Drake got its name from Alf's grandfather, the engineer who designed it, I think. His name was Drake. Alright, 26 deaths. Blues kind of went down, I think. Not good. Unfortunately, it looks like, ultimately, our highest Pikmin population at the end of this game will be the dead Pikmin population. It's hard to tell what goes on inside the head of a Pikmin. Sometimes they seem to behave in an almost trance-like state. The yellow nectar is definitely a big hit with them, though. They don't have eyes for anything else when that stuff is around. They were so happy after gorging themselves on it. I miss my family. There's something very melancholy about that. Anyway, we're gonna save and erase our previous save data, which was from the day that unfortunately my commentary didn't work on. So, in something I thought we'd never have to do, we're gonna be starting anew, day 34. We're gonna go to Twilight River. Hopefully we can finish it. See you then.